Commissioners Cullen, I know he has identified he will not be in attendance. Deloche.
Present.
We had a total of 19 employers and resources, and we had 21 registered. 3 were unable to attend, but look forward to the January event that hopefully we'll be throwing. And for a total of outcome, we had 37 interested candidates that were selected from the resources and employers. 19 were selected for volunteers at AV Dream Center, and we had 18 hired. So in a month's time, that was definitely a great success. So I'm definitely looking forward to January, where we have all of this time. I'm already getting started. So I'm looking to hopefully have you guys in partnership again with that event and making this grow and just become an annual success for the Antelope Valley, because the youth definitely need these services. Any questions? Or
Thank you so much, Tiffany. It was an amazing event to be a part of. Thank you for pulling it together and letting us not only just participate, but be a part of it. Seeing the look on those young people's faces, that look of hope and opportunity that meted their mentality. I'm very excited about joining you in January for something even bigger and better, and to make it bigger and better every year after that. Thank you so much for the service that you've done to our community.
Thank you. And the employers were definitely, all of our surveys from the employers were 5s. It was great for them to be able to connect with other resources in the Antelope Valley as well. So I think this is a great opportunity, not just for the youth, but also for our employers and resources that are here in the community.
Thank you again. Before we move on, any other commissioners?
I had a question.
Go ahead, Dr. Deloche.
How does an entity gain access to the one coming in December? Are you taking new vendors, and how would they be added?
I am definitely taking new vendors. So those of you that are in this meeting or joining us, please refer any employers, small businesses, corporations, whatever they are, just resources, housing, school, whatever the youth can use from the Antelope Valley. If you can email me, I'm not sure if I can chat in here, but if you could share my email address with those that are in this meeting and just forward me those referrals, I will definitely outreach. So when I put that group together, we will meet and convene and just discuss for the January meeting. I do plan on just having probably one here in October, just to get things rolling. As I said, I am excited to make this one bigger and better for the youth here.
Okay, I think Miss Patty is probably saying she's going to email it to us. If I can read her mind and not her lips, I'm pretty sure.
You're learning, Commissioner.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Can you hear me now? Okay, great. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I was going to say, commissioners will send a follow-up email to connect everyone with Tiffany. And, just wanted to second what Chairman Cannon said, that it was such a great event and such a great partnership opportunity, and really threw that together in just a couple of weeks. So thank you so much for your help with that.
Thank you.
Any other commissioners? Before we move on, please let the record show that Commissioner Pope is in attendance.
Yes, he is recorded as attending.
Thank you. Again, thank you so much, Tiffany. And if there's no one else, we will move on. Are there any speakers for the consent calendar?
At this time, anyone wishing to comment on item CC1, please press *9. I will announce the last 4 digits of your call-in number when it is your turn to speak. Please state your name and eliminate any background noise. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Please press *9 at this time. There are no speakers.
Thank you. So moving on to continue business. I think I'm sharing my screen. Am I correct?
You are.
We need to take a vote for CC1.
Oh, yes, we do. Hold on. Let me get this down. Sorry about that, y'all. Respect the process. Can we call the roll for the CC? Is there a motion and approval? And is there a motion and a second for the approval of the consent calendar?
I make a motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Could we please call the roll?
Commissioners Deloche,
Aye.
Hone,
Aye.
Joseph,
Aye.
Pope,
Aye.
Vice Chair Carter,
Aye.
Chairman Cannon.
Aye.
It passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. Now we can move on to the CB1. So here, guys, is just what I would like to add to our equity report, or proposal to add to our equity report. And so I'll just go over this quickly. I know some of us have learned that the city is moving forward with the establishment of a hybrid police model. And I know some people have heard more about it than others, and some people have not heard a lot about it at all. So just a brief little overview. If you guys saw the body cam press release that was put out on 8/17, it did mention about the hybrid model. The city is working to establish a hybrid model for the city of Lancaster to supplement the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department to provide law enforcement and law enforcement related services in a strategic and coordinated manner for increased safety and responsiveness. So if you take a look at this format, this is an example that we will use of how our larger equity report, the entirety of it, will be formatted. So when we hit as you can see, when we hit a co-produced policing is the number one, is the topic. And then under that would be here's the action taken. And if there hasn't been any action taken on what we put in the report, we'll put action plan. So the action taken on this particular issue or a component of co-produced policing would be on behalf of the commission, myself. I participated in the training with a couple members of the city council and Department of Public Safety, where the consultants outline a co-produced policing model, and which would require community input and buy-in to be effective. So co-produced policing really is a partnership between saying that this hybrid law model will be a partnership between the community and the government. What are our recommendations for that? I recommend, or we would recommend, if we add this to our report, a targeted strategy of community outreach. And for me, I see that as a series of public service announcements on different platforms designed to educate citizens on what co-producing is, or how it fits into the hybrid law enforcement model and where the public fit into that process. When I'm talking to people in the community and when they're asking me what this means, or what is co-producing is that, what is a hybrid law enforcement model, what is personnel going to look like, and stuff like that. Sometimes they're asking questions that are too early to ask at this stage. And sometimes they're asking questions like, I didn't even know this was coming, even though that this was a part of city council meetings. We've talked about it in different public forums. So this is really just a way of, in that interest of keeping trust and being that communications bridge, we want to expand on that outreach a little bit. And even if we can't let people know, because again, the final product will be a co-produced product, even if we don't know yet exactly what it's going to be, because we haven't hit that part where we get community input yet. But we would recommend that the city, on behalf of public safety, do those public service announcements so that people know and they feel that they're being brought along and that they trust the process because they're part of the process, right? They understand the process. They understand where we are on it. So I don't want to read all of this word for word, but I do want to leave it up for commissioners to look at, and I do want to take a vote on adding it to our equity report. But before I do that, if there are any commissioners that are looking at this and have any opinions or input on it, I would like to hear that now. So we can go ahead and put this, I can add it to it because this is an open document, so we can do that. So if anybody, you can raise your hand, you can jump in.
I'm trying to see it. I'm unfortunately having some problems with my computer, so I'm looking at it on my phone. So I need to look at it a little.
Okay. So
I'm trying to open my computer. So.
And I take responsibility for that. I did not email this to commissioners prior, and that is my fault because I did not manage my time the best way. So I do take responsibility for that. So I am sorry. And I'm sorry that you cannot see it. But
let me see what I can do for now. until my computer boots up. I'll just have to pull it a little closer.
And we don't necessarily have to take a vote in this meeting on putting it in the equity report. I just wanted to show you guys, this is what I would like to add when it comes to the hybrid law enforcement model that we talked about. And it pretty much, we don't have to add it today, but I would like to have start looking at our final draft and by the October meeting, and so we could present it to the city council by January. So with that in mind, go ahead.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Will this co-produced policing model come with any town halls or maybe question and answers sessions that the public can take part in, either virtual or in person, to solicit their questions or input?
That's a great question, Commissioner Deloche. And at this point in time, that is open to recommendation, right? So at this point in time, we know that we need community input for this model to be created, to be complete. So right now, and we're with the equity report, I think it's prudent, and after the trainings, that it is prudent that we start voicing or recommending as a commission what we think that outreach should look like. I agree that it should be in the form of some type of town hall and workshop. I'm not necessarily saying that just to tell the people that, in this preliminary part that there should be town halls, because there's really nothing to report. But in this preliminary part, I think the PSAs are important so that people know what's coming, understand, this is a hybrid law enforcement model, understand the direction and what the structure will be. And then when we start to, that way people are looking to participate in this, right? People are looking for the next step and, okay, I want to be a part of this. This is what we talked about. This is what we marched for. And then once we do that, once we come have a working group with people, and this is not what's going to happen. This is how I'm thinking in terms of what we should recommend that should happen in this process. So we're telling people what's happening leading up to it in the process. And then when we get to the part where we're ready to sit down with the community and we're ready for the community to put their part in it, then that would be more like a workshop, I'm thinking. I don't see us having that in the town hall setting, more like a sit down and, a round table, right, with different community stakeholders and relevant people in the departments of public safety and in the city. And then once we have a working, one second. So now that we have a working model, right, then we can bring it to the community as a town hall and saying, hey, this is what we came together with. This is our co-produced draft, for lack of a better word, if you will. And then that's why we'll have a town hall, which asks for more input, community input, right? And then after that, and I think at the very end of it, once enough dialogue and input has been happening between the two partners in the co-produced policing model, then something will be given to the city council for final approval. But that's where we're at right now, where should this be a town hall? Should this be, all of that? That's where we'll go on our recommendations. Mm-hmm.
I think, can I share a suggestion?
By all means.
I think we should, I was going to say we should definitely touch base with our public safety department. I know, Sean, you work with them pretty closely, or you have worked with them pretty closely, because my guess would be that they're already planning something like that. Obviously, I'm not in public safety, so I don't know the details, but my guess is there is some thought into doing town halls, because I know it's a big part of, what we hope to accomplish is get that community buy-in. So, I like the ideas are fantastic. I just think we should touch base with them to make sure that we're not, to make sure that we're working cohesively with them. We're not doing something separate or different, but we're really working together and helping to bring more of the community to the events and things like that.
Absolutely.
But all great ideas.
Yes, Patty's definitely right. And when I talked to our public safety director at the trainings, we talked about community involvement and what that could look like. But he did convey to me that when we get to those parts, that he would be looking to this commission to help facilitate that. So keep in mind that these are recommendations, right? And keep in mind that by the time we finalize our equity report and decide to give it to the city council, that, these recommendations might be changed or tweaked a little bit based on conversations that we will be having with the public safety director after this, right? So but it is good since he is looking for input from us as a commission. It is good to have something on paper in draft form to bring to him and say, this is what we're thinking as a commission.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you so much for that, Patty. So I did stop sharing my screen so that if my little sister came out of the room and talked, so that I could quickly mute because I can't do it. But does any commissioner need to put this back up? Does any commissioner object to voting on this on the document? I'll just put it back up to add it part of our equity report. And also keep in mind that the first time we voted to add something to the equity report was a recommendation by Commissioner Joseph on terms of, what was happening at the sheriff's station. I did a little investigation about that, and they are working on bettering surveillance on the boulevard as a whole. And they have said that they do have working cameras, but they are working on improving all the surveillance on that boulevard. So do keep in mind that, when we first voted on that, we were like, wow, we need to do something about the surveillance. But after talks with the captain and going up into the investigation, we see that, that's already happening. So if we need to come back to this and tweak it again, that's why we use that magic word draft, right? Then we will do so. So go ahead, Commissioner Pope.
Yes, so I just had a very brief question about the whole timeline of this. This sounds amazing, but a little bit earlier you had mentioned that this recommendation, if I heard correctly, would be kind of like finalized and ready to give to the council by January. And then I also noticed on this document that this says addition to the equity report for 2020. So for this equity report, is it like comprehensive from like 2020 until like the start of 2022? Like, is that kind of like the timeline that we're working?
It will reflect our work that we've done since 2020 and throughout the year of since 2019 when we were established and created. Or not 2019, excuse me. Since 2020, since we were established and created, right? Okay. And so, oh my God, it's as if that year didn't even happen. But yes, so the reason why I put 2020 is because when we presented in January, there will really be nothing for us to talk about for the year 2021 because it'll be the year. Oh my goodness. Giovanni, this is why I love that you're on this commission. I'm looking at it and I'm talking about it and I'm like, wait a minute, that's what he means. So this will be 2021. We were established and created 2020. And so this will be January 2022. I told you it's as if that year didn't even exist for me. So thank you, Commissioner Pope, for being vigilant. But yes, this will be addition to the equity report based on what we've done in the year 2021, which is almost over, which is crazy, but it is. Thank you so much.
Commissioner Cannon, can I interject really quick? You mentioned voting on the document, and actually a formal vote is not required because this is a draft document. So
nice. Okay, that's amazing. So I'm going to sit this down and I'm going to share this with you guys by the end of this meeting. But this is what I'm thinking on terms of the hybrid law enforcement model and the direction of that. This is a Microsoft Word document. So I don't think there's a way for you guys to go when I send it for you guys to go in there and tweak it, but go over it. And if there are any recommendations, please feel free to reach out before the October meeting so that we go ahead and tweak it. But in October, I would like for us to be looking at a draft with all of the additions. And I want it to look like this. Like I like this because I really did go through all the templates and I really did try to search the best way to structure it. I like this and I like this template because it's organized and it's not just something that can be presented in a meeting, but it's something that can be printed out and given to each member of the city council for their own review. So I do like this format. So I'm going to stop sharing and thank you, Patty, for saying that because I don't think there is any action that needs to be taken. But are there any speakers for CB1?
At this time, anyone wishing to comment on item CB1, please press *9. I will announce the last 4 digits of your call-in number when it is your turn to speak. Please state your name and eliminate any background noise. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Please press *9 at this time. There are no speakers.
Chairman Cannon, can I add another? Can I add one more thing?
Absolutely.
Just a reminder to everybody that we don't want to share we don't want to share documents, right? We want to funnel everything through staff. So let's figure out a way to make that happen so that any changes that we want to make go directly through staff.
Thank you, Patty. Just a point of clarification. That's what we do all the time, and that so we don't share documents between each other. And so
right.
yes, thank you for
just to make sure we're not in violation of any rules or whatever. It's just better for us to figure out a way to do it where staff basically collects and gathers all the information from each person individually, and then we compile and do that.
Thank you very much, Patty. All right. Moving on, new business. So our vaccine efforts that we have been doing and that the Social Equity Commission has partnered with other entities in the city and other entities in the community to help boost up vaccination rates. And we also partnered with our fabulous deputy mayors, COVID-19 strike team of doctors and nurses to figure out the best way to meet people where they are on this. So here's a little bit of what we've done. Commissioner Pope and I, we attended a Facebook Live, but before that, there was the August 13th Lancaster's Welcome Back event where we had a booth there for people to get vaccinated, and 45 vaccinations were administered. So I think that's a plus. On August 23rd at the Monday Night Bites events, we had 32 vaccines administered. And I even heard that those were a good chunk of those were second doses. So we got some people fully vaccinated that came at the first event and came to get their second shot at the second event. So that's amazing. And on August 26th, we had a Facebook Live event where we reached 80 peak live viewers. Facebook, we reached 6,838 folks. We were engaged by 306 folks. And on the Instagram Live recap of that event, we reached 1,355 folks. On the engagement of the Instagram recap, we reached 35 people. And on the Instagram stories, we reached 1,600 people. And there are about 6 link clicks, which if anybody's familiar with Instagram, you would know that is a big deal because folks just click through those stories. So the fact that we got 6 link clicks is a big number to me. But the total people that we've reached were about 9,798 folks about vaccinations and making them aware. So not only did we get folks vaccinated, but we did make people aware of vaccinations, and we answered some questions some pending questions that folks asked in the Facebook Live. So it was amazing. We did step up to the plate when we were asked by our city council to see what we could do to reach some folks who might have been on the fence or some folks who are just drowning in misinformation and disinformation right now. And we talked about how do we combat that, right? And we said by meeting folks where they are, and it worked. So I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud that we were able to be a part of that. I'm proud of the city of Lancaster, and I'm proud of our community for stepping up and meeting us where we were so that we could meet them where they were and get more folks vaccinated. Are there any commissioners that were present at any of those events that would like to speak to their experience at those events and how that went down? Okay.
I just wanted to add, Chairman Cannon, that we were very impressed with the numbers because we'd had different events and the county has held a lot of different events at the city, and we definitely had participation. But this was like a huge jump from 1 month to the next. So just to second Chairman Cannon's his thoughts, definitely should be very proud. It was nice to have a different perspective. I thought the Facebook Live was such a great idea, and it was nice to have, again, different faces, younger faces, different parts of the community, and then also have our doctors who were able to provide that, medical expertise, and it was just very well received. And as a matter of fact, after the event, our deputy mayors were so pleased that they were, asking how do we do this again? Because this was really successful and we really enjoyed it. So again, just to second what Chairman Cannon said, all those events are great, and it was fantastic for the commission to be able to participate in that.
Just to piggyback off of like the town hall point, I think that was really amazing because so much like in the Antelope Valley, there's like a lot of noise that is out there these days. And for us to be able to use factual evidence and science to not only meet people where they're at, but also cut above the noise, I think was something incredibly powerful. Because I did have a few people that came to like me personally after this like vaccine town hall, about 2 people. And they were just like, even though like I've already been vaccinated, like it was absolutely amazing to see that like there were people from diverse backgrounds and young backgrounds and whatnot that were leading on this fight. Just because when I was at the city council meeting yesterday, one of the things that Dr. Trong was speaking about was the fact that young people are still the most vulnerable right now, which is incredibly scary and daunting, especially since we're trying to head towards herd immunity. So just having young people leading on that, I think was absolutely amazing. And I think that especially like that event, it really like reflects our values as a commission. So I just wanted to say that I was proud to be a part of those events, because I really do think that made a difference in just like cutting above the noise in our community.
Absolutely, Commissioner Pope, I couldn't agree more. So are there any speakers for NB1?
At this time, anyone wishing to comment on NB1, please press *9. I will announce the last 4 digits of your call-in number when it is your turn to speak. Please state your name and eliminate any background noise. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Please press *9 at this time. There are no speakers.
Thank you. Any further discussion, commissioners? Hearing none, we will move on. Public business from the floor. Assistant City Clerk, your announcement, please.
At this time, anyone wishing to comment on non-agendized items, please press *9. I will announce the last 4 digits of your call-in number when it is your turn to speak. Please state your name and eliminate any background noise. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. State law prohibits the commission from taking action on items not listed on the agenda. Please press *9 at this time. There are no speakers.
Thank you. Commissioner comments. Are there any comments from the commission? I'm gonna just ask by name, but please do not feel pressured if there are no comments at this time. Commissioner Pope, any comments?
Not at this point in time now.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Deloche, any comments?
I want to say again, thank you guys for engaging the younger generation. As we know, as we continue to open schools, we know that the younger kids are getting COVID, classrooms are getting closed, kids are being sent back home. So, and again, if you look at these elementary school teachers, their parents are probably between 20 and 30. So, and those are the people that I think you're engaging. So kudos to you guys for doing that. On another note, the other question I had was for the staff and chairman. So we have all done our one-pager. So just to be clear, if there's something that an inequity that we see that we want to reflect in the equity report, would we send, that cited information to the staff to be considered to go into the report? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
What?
Thank you, Commissioner Deloche. Go ahead, Vice Chair.
Oh, yes. What would be the deadline for that? Any additions that we want to submit?
So I will give.
How about? Go ahead, Chairman.
No, you can go, Patty. Go ahead.
I was going to say, it's always good to have a timeline. So that's a great question, Commissioner Carter. Why don't we say the end of next Friday, right, to give people ample time to go through their notes. So what day is that? Friday, the 24th. Does that work for everyone? Chairman Cannon, does that work for you?
Actually, Patty, it does not work for me.
Okay.
I'm going to extend that a little bit. I'm going to give, since we will, I would like to have the final vote on what we're going to do between October and December, not in December, but between either October or November. So the deadline I'm giving is 1st of October.
That's on a Friday, October 1.
You got an extra week.
Yes. I'm giving you the 1st of October, an extra week. And after that, I will consider what we have as the recommendations or the input from each commissioner. And then we will vote, hopefully in October or November, we will vote on a final product. If not October, it will be November. But when it comes to everybody contributing to the report, October 1st.
So, Chairman, I'm a little concerned about the, I guess, heft of the document. I personally, maybe I missed it, still haven't seen the result from the subcommittee. Has that gone out, and is that something that we can start to calibrate and bring out? And we've only had one subcommittee since we've started.
Yes.
So I'm a little concerned of, how detailed and how in depth this report will be if we've only had one subcommittee and I still haven't seen the data. So can you speak on that?
Yes. So remember the primary purpose for creating our subcommittee was to get a working group together so that we could conduct and analyze data from our own survey. So since then, we've met, Commissioner Cullen has brought to us some data. We've met with people from the environmental justice who did their own survey. We've met with people from MOA who conducted their own kind of, even though it was a cultural aspect, they collected data that was relevant to our scope of what our survey was going to be. So we did move and as a commission and to accept those data as the data that we would accept for our survey. Now, when it comes to our our subcommittee meeting, we have not had another subcommittee meeting since we've met with our working group the first time. There are two reasons. One, because we have not been able to collaborate on availability on the members of that subcommittee. And two, the first working group that we worked with, unfortunately, there was a death among one of them. So that took, in the sake of, out of respect for that and that person and their family, that took some time to kind of deal with. But I have been in contact since with some members of the subcommittee. Some other members have not responded to me, but we are not there. The members of the subcommittee are commissioners. The members of the working group working with the subcommittee, some of them I have not heard back from. But however, I don't believe in convening people to do something if we don't have something to convene them for. So this subcommittee that we have created is on community engagement. So what I'm thinking is when we're ready to finalize our equity report between now and October, that we could convene our subcommittee and add folks to this more folks to the working group, where we can tell them, hey, we're doing this. And if people want to be involved in that, I would love for folks to be involved in this report. This is why we're here. That working group can help us. When it comes to more subcommittees, I am always open to suggestions on what subcommittee should be created and why. Any commissioner on this panel has the authority to bring recommendations to this body and to say, hey, I believe we need a subcommittee on this, and this is why. And I will take that. And also the same thing is, hey, I think we need to hear from this X, Y, and Z for this X, Y, and Z data. You guys all have the ability and authority to do that.
And I'd like to chime in on something because,
yes.
And let me know, because the rules and policies around how we meet and go forth and share information, I'm not as versed in as some of you guys may be. Coming from the kind of working background I'm from, we have solid strategic communications, and we have planning meetings and work group meetings, and it's kind of set in stone. They'll be weekly or bi-weekly or however the frequency is that's set forth. We have people assigned that are in charge of communicating and ensuring that all participants are informed and available and can participate and throw their hat in the ring. And I'm not really sure how that works with us. What I do understand is our monthly meetings, right? But I'm not sure, like in between time, how do we communicate and what are the rules on that? Because to be honest, I'm not sure like how we do work. Like how do we do working sessions? Because I know last week when we came together, there was information and I thought, okay, I didn't see the build of this particular information. And I guess me being, a program project manager, I'm looking for like, how did we get from step A to B, A to Z? And I didn't see all that in between. So I'm like, I'm just wondering. So let me just bring my point. What I'm looking for is answers to and possibilities for us to, I see an opportunity for communication amongst the group here itself and perhaps even that task force work group. So I'm looking at how are we going to communicate with each other and work in between these monthly meetings.
That's a great.
Can I help answer that, Chairman Cannon?
That would be great.
So Commissioner Carter. So I think that the issue or the thing that we're always trying to work around is Brown Act, right? We want to make sure that we're not violating any rules of the Brown Act. Mm-hmm. And that's why what we've done over the last couple months, and I think we've done it really well, is we've tried to basically use staff to help facilitate a lot of the work in between the meetings, right? So the goal of the meetings is to talk about the work that's happening. And what we've done is we basically have compiled a lot of the things that everybody has given us. And then, Chairman Cannon will send it out, we'll send it out. We'll get additional feedback, and then we'll discuss it in the meeting. So the goal of these meetings is to talk about, the things that we want to change, the things that we want to modify, the things that we want to add. But, to be able to work together, we can't necessarily do that in the traditional sense. The way that you would do it at Kaiser, for example, because I know that's where your employer, because we do have that Brown Act that we have to make sure that we don't violate. And anytime you have more than 3 commissioners in a meeting together talking about business that's not publicly agendized, you would be violating the Brown Act, and we don't want to do that. So that's why we have found the best way to do everything is to have discussions in this meeting, and then for us to for staff to help facilitate the actual development of the information and then share it with the group individually, right? Blind carbon copy everybody, and then get additional feedback so that you guys can continue the discussion.
I couldn't say it better myself.
So the Brown Act applies to meetings, right? And is that in-person conversations, or does that also include emails?
It's everything. It's everything. Yeah, it's all communication has to be. You cannot have more than 3 people, 3 commissioners discussing business via email, via in person, via the phone. Without, you would have to notice it. It would be a meeting. Anytime you have more than 3 commissioners together, it's a meeting, and we have to publicly agendize that. Otherwise, there's some serious consequences for that. And that's why our way to work around that and to make sure that we're getting the work done that we want to do, but we're still, within our, following protocol is the staff will compile, send things out, get additional feedback, you get an opportunity to review, and then we discuss in these meetings to make any changes publicly and to say, hey, this works for me, this doesn't work for me, I think you should add this, that type of thing.
And as far as it's concerned about work and the work of the commission in between the meetings, again, each and every one of us has the authority or the prerogative to reach out and to see, hey, we need presence at this, or we need presence at that, or was there presence at this, right? And if that is the case, then a commissioner can go and not represent necessarily the city of Lancaster without approval, because you need approval to do that. But you can go and be a presence, right, in the meeting or in the wherever you are for that, and bring a report back to the commission. So just how we want to make sure that we have presence at the city council and criminal justice commission meetings, like if there is an area of that we need to be there at, and you feel like we're not there, that's why there's 7 of us, so that we could fan out and cover more ground. So I would say that in between like now and the next meeting, that we should be asking ourselves that, like, where do we need presence at? In regards to how we work, like doing good committee work as if like a subcommittee, that was also one of the solutions why we should have a subcommittee. And Commissioner Dose is right. We did talk about having multiple subcommittees. So if any commissioner feels that another subcommittee should be created with a certain specific scope and a specific task, then by all means, my emails are open. Send it to me. We could talk about it. Again, we could talk individually. Vice Chair Carter and I have met individually. Commissioner Popovi have met individually. Commissioner Jalosh and I. We could do. Shahib and I have talked on the phone. That helps too. That also helps for us to understand where we are and where we can go. Right. So think about those things as well. And I know my life is crazy, guys. I had a 1 year. My son just turned 1, but sometimes even myself, like there will be a week or two where I would go without talking to a commissioner, and I strive to at least try to contact you guys once a week, whether it be text messages or emails, or hey, this is what's going on, just keep you guys updated, or even just keep you guys updated on what I'm thinking, right? Like, hey, I know we talked about this, but here's a new direction. So when it comes to communication, I as the chairman will strive to improve that more amongst this group in ways that don't violate the Bar Act. But if we need to create another subcommittee, I'm down. But at this moment, if we were to create a subcommittee, I cannot see what their task and scope will be. So I cannot create a subcommittee. Now, if there's another commissioner that does see what a task and scope could be, that does see another subcommittee is needed, I would love to hear from it. And if I agree with you, then we can create that ASAP. I mean, even if I don't agree with you and you got the votes, make a motion. We'll put it on the agenda. We can make a motion. Don't try to outvote me, though. I'm still the chairman.
I'm not necessarily thinking there should be another subcommittee.
Oh, no, Vice Chair. I'm sorry. I was.
No. And I'm not saying that you're thinking that that's what you're saying. I'm just making it clear. I'm just trying to figure out a way to be more in the loop. That's what it is. And perhaps it's just me. But I don't know. Just like I said, but if you can't send me an email and I can't know that this is going to be happening during this week or that week, or this is coming up for next week, then, it is what it is.
Yes, ma'am. I'll make sure that you get those things, and when things pop up that I believe the commission should respond to, I'll be sending that to staff as well.
Because I mean, that's the way I would be able to say to myself, like, I would like to attend. I could actually take time off to participate if I knew what was happening. The way I'm getting information right now, it's kind of like after the fact. And it could be just because maybe we're mentioning it in the meeting and it's falling off my radar in between the meeting and the date that it happens. And, so I don't know. I just wish it would be great if we could implement and stay within the Brown Act and policy some way that we can just really stay really current, especially as a new commission or any kind of new team that you're standing up. I think communication strategy is essential. I know that, again, we meet once a month and we're operating under a Brown Act, but in between a month, that's a long stretch of time. So what kind of changes and what kind of events and what happens between each meeting, that would be great if commissioners could participate in or have a hand in or apply, provide some support in and everything, things like that. That's what I'm mostly looking for. I see some opportunities and I see where we can be stronger in those areas of opportunity. Also, because this is a new commission. Okay.
Yes.
So,
yes, you're right. I would encourage people also as well, because sometimes things happen. Sometimes things happen in the community very quickly, and things get out of hand very quickly. So I would encourage folks to stay, in order to stay current, don't just lean on information, because sometimes things will be happening and the city won't get information until after the fact, or the city won't be. A lot of the times these are things that are on our radars in our networks, right? Not necessarily things that are on our radars as a commission, but as individual commissioners. So what I would encourage is, and this is not for self-promotion, I'm not trying to get nobody followers up, but follow each other and add each other on Facebook and these social medias, and join these. I would encourage you to join local community groups, even groups that you definitely don't, that you might not agree with, but just join it so you can see what not what's going on in the community, because sometimes they'll say something is happening, it's not, but to see what people are thinking and where we're going in. But is there any specific something that the commission has been involved in, or any specific data that's been brought that has blindsided you, Vice Chair, that you would like to address, or that so that we could, so moving forward, we could see how, if we did something that we forgot to send an email out about, I would love to go back and be like, okay, this is what we did wrong. We dropped the ball here.
I wouldn't say look at it as something that's done wrong. Again, I just see opportunities, because there are some things I'm kind of like, oh, and I'm gonna take ownership of looking at it. Coming to my emails, and I just know I have to look at my emails probably every day to see if there's something on it from the commission, perhaps. And but I do see it as an opportunity again, and I do think that as a new commission, any type of any this is a program, right? And within this program, there are projects, and we're moving things forward. And anytime you're working on programs and you're building something, a strong communication strategy is fundamental. And I think that even just based on thinking about community engagement and everything, the way you can engage your community more is even through communications, and having a very strong communications practice and strategy. And even for us as a new commission, this is a place where we can utilize the opportunity to strengthen communications and get in the practice of doing so, and then spreading it out to our constituents in the community. And so and I don't want to stay on this too long, and I can follow up at in another way, one-on-one, if that's the best way to do so.
Yes,
I'm more than happy to do that, and I land my plane with that. So thank you. I'm done speaking.
I love it. Every time she says, "I'll land my plane," it's the lingo for me. but thank you so much, Vice Chair, and we can definitely talk about that. Commissioner Holm, do you have any comments?
No, not really. Just to piggyback on what you already said. Yeah, I think that sometimes there's things happening and I don't always know about them. So a heads up would be cool. I'm not a person that I don't go out and about, especially with the COVID and all that, so I'm a homebody, but I'm willing to attend some things if I feel like they can be done safely, for sure.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'm thinking, and we can talk about this, and I'm thinking weekly, an email, if something like weekly or bi-weekly, that I can send myself to staff, Patty, is that something that just will, even if there's nothing to report that particular week or nothing new to report that particular week, just so that everybody stays in the loop. Is that can we do that? Like if myself would say, hey, this is what this week looks like on social equity issues, or this is what this week looked like for our commission. Could I do that? And also that'd be a way for, like, say, because there's only so many days out of the week, and say if there's something that needs to be done, the commissioner can, hey, I'll put that in that update. Hey, we need to meet with such and such in regards to what we talked about with X, Y, and Z. And that way, commissioners be like, hey, I'm available this week at this time, or I'm available at this time. Then that way we could have there's a potential for an entire, every week, every day of every week, a commissioner is doing something. There's 7 of us and there's 7 days out of the week. So if each and every one of us are having a meeting or doing something for commission work one day out of the week, and we all have a different day, or even if we're doing it on the same day, then that will be a really productive week. So just as you guys are talking about that, that's just popping in my head. So what do you think about that, Patty?
Yes, I think that's a great idea. I think the ideal way to do it, again, so that we're just conscientious of the rules and stuff, is just for you to send it to either Karen or myself, and then we will blind carbon copy all of the commissioners. The one thing I would suggest too is to get in the habit of checking emails, because I know that we've sent out several emails in the past and haven't received any responses. And I understand that it's a new email address, and unfortunately, that's the way we have to communicate, not your traditional email addresses. So I would just remind everybody to make sure to use those, check them regularly. But I think that'll help a lot, Chairman Cannon. Mm-hmm. I think it'll get people in the habit of checking the emails. And if we have something that, we look forward to every Monday or every Tuesday, that's a great way to kind of get that started. So, yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Why not every Wednesday? So that way we're always doing something. That one third Wednesday is the big one, right? We all come together. Third Wednesday. So next Wednesday, you guys, please check out for your emails. I will be sending something out. It will probably look different every time, but I take what you guys are saying very seriously, and that also holds me accountable as well. Please hold me accountable. Hey, Chairman, you didn't get nothing. And hey, if I gotta say, hey, there's just nothing to report this week, or see you guys at the commission, and I'll do so. Thank you so much, Commissioner Hall. Commissioner Joseph.
How you doing? I gotta step out here, man. If any of you got daughters and you're doing their hair in braids, it's pain, and she needs to grab on me at times. But
that's right.
Nothing to update as of right now. Little concern over the weekend, just in my personal life, as far as the city of Lancaster. Have any of you tried to call the police to get somebody to come out? I even got told Saturday that they're not coming out for any regular calls. Like if it's not a shooting or a real threat, they won't come out. And this was a case of a homeowner whose house was actually getting used for a party, on top of my credit card getting used as a fraud on Airbnb. So going out to there and calling the cops, I couldn't even get a cop to come out. It's documented in the 911 call. So he said, that'll be documented, but we're not coming out unless there's, a grave danger call. So, even this hybrid law enforcement, maybe that would give the city something extra to, maybe we really do need this so they can take these type of calls,
I do know, Commissioner Joseph, and I really appreciate you saying that, which brings me to my comments. Yes, the hybrid law, that is the one of the main reasons why the city of Lancaster and our city council are going in this direction. 40% of the calls that Lancaster Station receive are quality of life related issues, like the issues that Commissioner Joseph just outlined, that he just mentioned. So what happens is that when you have that 40, if we have that 40%, then the crimes are happening all at the same time, because this is the most busiest station in the county. Then some of those priority calls get low priority than the others. So what happens is that when you have you only have between a certain time to respond to these things, right? If you have a list of things on a computer, pretend you're a deputy. You have a list of calls that you got to get to on your computer, and as soon as you start your shift, that computer is filling up with calls you got to get to. And as soon as you start your shift, those calls that you're getting, and it's like this the whole shift, right? And those calls that you're getting are a mixture of priority calls and non-priority calls. So sometimes, a lot of times what happens is that deputies are spending so much time either on priority calls that they won't be able to get to a non-priority call, or they are spending so much time on the major crimes and things like that where they can't follow up on things. And so that's what the whole point of a hybrid law enforcement model is, to mitigate those factors. Commissioner Joseph, when you talked about a party happening, that would be something that somebody working in the hybrid law enforcement model would respond to. But if you think about what we have right now is that if the deputy on their logs has a call that says, there's a party over the weekend, or some kids are having a party, but they also have on their call logs that there is a man down, or that there is a domestic violence situation, or that a child is in danger, and they have all of these things on their calls, they have to get those first. I want to take this time to talk about.
I don't want to cut you off, but even the child situation, where I had to go back to court, awarded full custody of my children, but there was a situation with a grandmother trying to take my kids back to school, people yelling kidnapping and a 911 call, and they still didn't come to the school during school hours. So this is something that, there's definitely a problem and an issue going on that you need to address.
Right, and thank you for that. And like I was saying, when I went on I went on 2 ride-alongs, one in between now and the last time we met. One in the mornings with the Lancaster Sheriff, one in the morning from 8 to 4, and one in the evening from 4 to midnight, and in the same week. And I got to see how that works, right? And I'll use an example. There was something that happened between, it seems as if it was some sort of mutual combat between 2 minors, and the mother wanted to call the sheriff department and was saying, can somebody mute themselves, because I hear myself. I'm so sorry, but it's very distracting. But was that you, Patty? I'm not even You're laughing at me, but but yeah, there was a young man, a mutual combat between 2 minors, and on the call logs, this mother made this call the day before I got on there, right? And so this deputy wanted to get to this call so bad. I kid you not, but every time we would be on our way to that call, a priority call would happen, or a code 3. Code 3 is an emergency situation. So it goes code 3, which is an emergency, respond now, and with lights and sirens. And then there's the priority calls that are like, okay, this is below code 3. And then there's the non-priority calls, which unfortunately this was. And he was responding to things that really did need his attention. He was responding to his partners that really did need his attention, because they are very understaffed. It's a big city and lots happening, and there's not many deputies. There's some assigned for the east side, some assigned for the west side, and some for traffic. And there's not a lot of deputies on the beat. But there were times when we literally would get to this lady's door and get a code 3 call. We literally got to her door, was ready to knock on her door, and because for her, that was the most important thing that was happening. And so it was important to the deputy to get to her, because he understood that was the most important thing happening in her life. Even though there was all these other, priority things happening, he understood that to this mom, this is the most important thing that's happening.
It's 18 hours.
Thank you, Siri. We're almost done. This is the most important thing that's happening. And so there were times we literally would get to somebody's door, and the deputy would have to be called to another priority call. So this hybrid law enforcement model is very much needed. And that is very much to Commissioner Joseph's point. So about my ride-alongs, I did, it was interesting, to say the least. It gave me, this is what we're all about, right? Perspective. It gave me a different perspective. I told them not to hold back, and they didn't. Like, I want to go on all the calls, and they didn't. And I appreciated that. And I got to see how what we're working on here and what people are working on in the streets, activists, these social equity issues, all of the issues that the city faces, that people in the city face. You see folks online talking about stuff, and you see folks in public meetings talking about these issues, whether it be homelessness, lack of accountability, whether it be cost of living, whether it be just how the mentality of young people, all of that boils down to what deputies have to deal with every single day. It boils down to deputies having to respond repeatedly to a house that is where children are there witnessing domestic violence by somebody that cannot move anywhere else, that cannot afford to live anywhere else, so her and her children can escape a domestic violence situation. They cannot afford to pay somebody else's mortgage. That is, or where rent would be more expensive than the mortgage that they're paying right now. That is what deputies have to deal with. And so now these deputies, when they get involved, it's already too late. This family's already about to get broken up, you know, when an easy solution, not an easy solution, no solution is really easy, but when, you know, cost of living plays that factor in it, when mentalities among our young people are creating a situation at home where young people feel as if though, you know, their parents don't know what's best for them, and that older person that they should be hanging out with does. And so when we talk about that, when we talk about having access to mentorship, when we talk about meeting mentalities with opportunity, right? I don't just mean positive mentalities of entrepreneurship and of, you know, mentality of being something good. There are some people in this community that have negative mentalities. And so, but the city of Lancaster is still where mentality meets opportunity. City of Lancaster is where that negative mentality can meet opportunity for personal growth. The city of Lancaster is where the mentality to be defiant or to think that my friends know more than my parents can meet a young commissioner that just happens to be on a ride along with a deputy who can talk to this young lady like nobody else can. That's where we're at. And so I just wanted to say that and let folks keep that in mind, that that's what we work on in this commission, our deputies have to deal with at their level. And by the time they have to deal with it, it's too late. So again, here's to future and brighter things and hope. But I really do believe in my heart, 10 to 15 years from now, probably even sooner, that the work we do here will change those mentalities. Will be so that deputies don't have to spread themselves so thin that not everybody in our community is being serviced the way that they should. And it's not, I don't think it's on anybody's particular fault. I don't think there's anybody's fault to blame, but I do think that everybody needs to take responsibility and understand where they fit in that, where they fit in helping mitigate this crisis. So yeah, that's all I've got. And we do have a crisis. We do have a crisis of mentality among our young people. Today, there were 7 fights at Armagosa Middle School, at Armagosa Creek Middle School. Throughout the week, there are anywhere from 10 to 20 fights at any given high school in Antelope Valley. There's a crisis of mentality among our young people. We talked a lot about COVID and how that would affect them academically, but I don't think we talked enough about how that affected them socially. I don't think we talked about enough about how there might have been a crisis of mentality among our young people even before COVID hit, and how them missing a whole year of school contributed to where we are now. And so we need to really, that's why I'm very, very excited about your cat. I'm very excited about, I have a cat too. I'm very excited about recommending that we expand this Pathways program, because young people need access to mentors. They need access to people that they can relate to. And also, not just that, but when we change paradigms and mentalities among young people, we can change peer pressure into peer mentorship, where those young people where nobody older than them is going to tell them what to do. And we know those people, don't we, Gio? But it means different when the homie is saying something to you, or when your homegirl saying something to you and be like, hey, I know you're better than this. I believe that you're better than this. Hey, I struggled. I recognize what you're struggling with. I struggle with the same thing. I know somebody that you can talk to, or you can talk to me. Equipping young people with that empowerment to be mentors for each other in school settings is a really big deal. And that's what Pathways does. So that's all I've got, everybody. Thank everybody for coming and giving your feedback. Please look out for emails and check your emails. The next regular meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, October 20th at 5 p.m. Everybody